Welcome to 2Cents FC. I'm your host, Amobi and Okugo, back again with my guy, L. Each week, we'll be talking with individuals from around the soccer world, learning about their stories and getting their unfiltered thoughts and opinions. This week, we're joined by LA Galaxy, US Men's National Team legend, California legend, Cobi Jones. We'll be getting to know all about Cobi, talking about his career, and learning about his off-pitch endeavors. Cobi, how you doing today?
I'm doing fabulous. I'm having a great time. Happy to be here. A little busy like everybody, but working it out.
Nah, thank you for taking the time. I know you're busy. You got a lot of things moving forward, but let's start off with our favorite game. L, we'll take it away.
Yeah, two truths in the cap. So if you're not familiar with the show, this is a quick icebreaker game that we play where our guest Cobi will tell us 3 facts about himself. 2 will be true, 1 will be a lie, and Amobi and I have to guess what the lie is. So where we at, Amobi? We still 3-1?
Yeah, we'll say 3-1, 3-1. If anyone wants to, calculate the scores from this year, be our guest. But right now we're going 3-1.
All right, so I got some catching up to do. So whenever you're ready, Cobi.
2 truths and a lie. This is interesting. I mean, there's a lot about me out there, so I hope you guys haven't read up too much. So the first I would go with, first truth is that I was heavily recruited from high school into college. Second one, I'm guessing this is how you do it, right? Just go from 1, 2, 3. Yeah. The second truth is that I played my entire career, at the LA Galaxy. Third and final one is that I was, during the qualifying time of the Olympics, I was a starter throughout the whole time.
Damn, I feel like these all have some ooh, this is tough. My cap is you weren't heavily recruited. I think you was because I think I remember it because obviously you went to UCLA top player all time, but I feel like the story was you were a walk-on at UCLA and then ended up just killing it, and then the rest is history. But I do know you play for other teams outside of LA Galaxy, but was it like a loan thing and you're counting it as yeah, that's tough. I'm gonna go with the walk-on.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with you didn't play with Galaxy your whole career. I know you played for Vasco da Gama as well as one other team in Europe. So yeah, I'm gonna go with that one.
Well, I guess there's minutia that you could go with everything. I was figuring out, but the one that I was going with was the heavily recruited out of high school. I was not recruited, so yeah, I was a walk-on at UCLA. Dang. So that's the big one. That's the big one.
Dang. So Moby, you up 4-1.
Yeah. To be fair, I did go to UCLA, and Cobi Jones is like the idol soccer player. Just being an African American from Cali, went to UCLA. So, and then if you remember, Jimmy kind of spilled the beans a little bit about your history as a walk-on because he was a walk-on at UCLA. But it's an amazing story because you said you weren't heavily recruited, but now you're the all-time leader in U.S. Men's National Team's caps. So how did soccer, where did you love for soccer come about?
Let's go back first, Amobi. You're just jumping us up. I think that was an unfair advantage for you.
Yes, I gotta do my history. I'm a
He's
historian.
Gonna take it where you can get it.
You gotta take
fair
it.
Enough. Fair enough. My love for soccer. Let's get to it. I was like, look, I'm an old cat, when it comes down to it. So I grew up in the 70s, and I was just during that heyday of soccer, first really kind of booming in the United States. And so my parents put me, in AYS. So, kind of like that philosophy of, let's get this kid out of the house and get some of that energy out. So I just run all over the place. But I do credit my my cousin, my older cousin, a lot because as the story goes, is my cousin was playing soccer, playing AYSO. He's a year older than me, and um, we were in the station wagon, the old school station wagon with the panels on the side, and I was in the way back, looking out the back window, and we're driving by the park, and I saw my cousin was playing soccer, out there. He was in a game, and typical young 5-year old kid, screaming, "Ah, mommy, daddy, I want to go play. I want to go out there and play, with my cousin." So they actually just pulled over right there, stopped the car, went up and asked the coach if I could join in and if I could participate. And the coach was like, "Yeah, sure." Gave me a jersey, put a jersey on me, and allowed me to start kicking the ball around and playing. So um, that's kind of like where it started. So I give a lot of credit to my cousin and him playing. That really got me into playing soccer. And there's a lot in that story, but a couple other things that stand out is the fact that I'm sitting in the back of a station wagon, no seatbelts or anything, just cruising around. And the second part is, I mean, can you imagine now with them just saying, "Oh yeah, the kid wants to play, sure, go right ahead," hop on in
Oh
without
yeah.
signing about 50 different waivers, before you go in. But it was a different time. So yeah, that's it. That's where the love of soccer came, and just running around, and I loved running and just stuck with it.
So how did you develop? How did UCLA come about? Did you like start progressively AYSO, then club, and then high school, and then time for college, and obviously UCLA's top program. But how did that come about?
Yeah. I played AYSO, for those few years, and eventually I kind of went through All Stars and all that. But I will give credit. I was very fortunate at a young age to have and I really didn't realize it until I was older. I look back and I think about it, and I'm like, a lot of my coaches when they were younger, they were. It wasn't. Everyone talks about how like back in the day, you had like the football coach was coaching and all this type of
Yeah.
stuff. But I was lucky enough to have like first generation or second generation from people from another country. So I had, like people don't know, like Eric Ronaldo at one point, his dad was my coach, when we were on the same team. But
Oh.
people don't know, like Eric's background, his background is his dad was Dutch, so that was where that love of soccer came. I was with the Walton Drowski at one time where he had a European background. So it was always, and then a Hans Dubach, another Dutch player. So there was like a lot of that influence from Europe. So the training that I got from the AYSO and the early years of club wasn't, oh yeah, just yeah, just toe poke the ball in the goal, that type
Yeah.
of thing. There was actual training of like, no, lean over the ball, hit it with this part of your foot. All those basics that we teach now, they were teaching back then, and I think those are some of the things that helped me, along that path. So as I progressed and got better and better, I ended up, yes, going to AYSO to All Stars, then to club, and then from club, hopping from the different clubs as kids tend to do, and go
Yeah.
through these different clubs, and then eventually got on some of the better clubs, and then it was high school, as you said, and Eric Winalda and I went to the same high school, and so we played together, and he was heavily recruited. He was like eh, from all over the country. People were looking at
Hmm.
him, trying to get him, and I was fortunate enough to be there at that time. And I think that's where like some coaches might have seen me, and maybe there was a little bit of talk, but I wasn't recruited anywhere. And then eventually, for me, it was where was I going to go, and for school first, and then maybe I could make soccer, where just, well, let's be honest, back then it was just play for fun, you know,
Yeah.
and you have to take in mind too my background. My mom was a teacher, and my dad was a scientist, and both of them from Mobile, Alabama, growing up in a segregated South. So for them, it was education, education, education. So for me, it was like, well, I'm going to UCLA, and they do have a soccer program. I'll walk on and see what happens.
Oh, that's amazing. And from there, obviously you play for the late great Coach Ziggy Smith. How did you go about it? Was it just like, hey, coach, I play and I would like to try out, similar to you
Uh,
being in the station wagon and seeing people
yeah,
play, or
yeah. It's funny, right? You have the walk on process. So I mean, you know, you've been there every season. There's always a crew that comes out there, you know. So when I went out there, it was like one of those things where it's like, okay, I'm amongst a bunch of other people. Ziggy did know of me,
Mhm.
because he had recruited Eric. You know,
Yeah,
so there was that situation where it was like, okay, yeah, well, you can walk on, and if you're good enough, you know, we'll you know, give you a shot. You know, so you know, you go through that process, and you know, it's not easy. You have all these physical fitness tests and all this type of stuff, and I was fortunate enough to make it through all that and make the team as a walk on. But I was supposed to redshirt my freshman year, which, you know, no matter what position you come from, you don't want to sit, you know, the whole time
yeah,
and just know that
facts.
you're not going to be playing. So I was upset with that, um, and I found out that I was going to be redshirting, you know, right before like the first traveling tournament, the big tournament in Indiana. You know, so I had gone through the process where I made the team, and I was like stoked about that. But then, you know, you have the thing where you're just you have those games, right? Those
Hmm.
preseason games. But you know, I would dress and sit on the bench. Never got put in. You know, on the first one, second one, didn't get put in any of the games. Third one, I finally just said, approached the coach. You know, because I went. It was one up in CSUN, and all my friends from high school, you know, stuff
Yeah,
had come down and all that and see me. And I was like, okay, I might get to play on this one. And there was a talk that I would get to play. And then I didn't get to play on that one either. My parents were there, family. And then, so afterwards, I just asked him, well, what's going on? And that's when he told me, well, I'm planning to redshirt you. So I really don't want to put you in any of the games. You're going to be like, you know, a practice player, you know, and boy was I pissed.
yeah,
boy was I pissed. And so the next game was the Indiana tournament. He said he was going to take me. Um, just so happens Mike Lapper, you know, he was like one of the star players. He had a broken foot, like a fifth metatarsal or something, and wasn't healthy. Then right before, day before, come to find out, oh, he's healthy, so he's traveling, and he booted me off, and I was angry. That was right before. Oh boy, so I had to sit back and just kind of, you know, wait and bide my time. And um, fortunate for me, unfortunate for them, they got whooped. They got whooped bad, boy. They lost both games, and if you know Ziggy Schmidt, you know he has a little temper, and
yeah,
he just went off on the team, and he said, "Okay, next tournament, you're coming. You're gonna go. You're gonna play. You know, all this type of stuff." I ended up going to Las Vegas, and you know, the first game was against Virginia and Bruce Arena. I played the second half. I played pretty well. Had a couple of chances. The next game was, I believe, UConn, and then I had a goal and an assist. And from that moment on, I ended up starting every game, you know, at UCLA.
yeah.
And you know, like I said, the rest is history. It is one of those things. I always look back. You know, Ziggy was pissed for a moment, and he was willing to throw away my whole redshirt year, right? You know,
Yeah,
just how I was like, I
yeah.
look back and go, wait a second, was he doing, you know, me a favor or himself? You know, like one of those
Exactly.
things.
Can you talk about the mindset? You know, you've been through it, you know, at the highest of levels, and you know, you do a lot of mentorship, you see a lot of youth development in soccer. What is the mindset that a young player needs to have of like taking advantage of your opportunity? You could have easily been frustrated. You know, your family comes out to the game. That's the worst feeling. You're getting extra tickets for everybody, and then you come to the game, you're not playing. Um, what advice would you have for that young player that may not or that may have to bide their time?
um, I would say first understand that everyone's going to have setbacks. It may not be the same type of setbacks that you're going to go
Mhm.
through, but they have their own setbacks, and so everything is it's never perfect, right? You know,
Mhm.
everyone's going to go through certain things. I think what it is it is all about timing. That you've got to make sure that you are ready when your time comes, because it will come. There will be a time, and you might not know. It's not going to say, "Oh, this is your time. Okay, make it happen." You're not going to know, but you just have to be ready at every
Yeah.
single moment and take every single chance to go. So that's why you don't slack off. You don't just go, oh, I'm just going to chill this little bit, because you don't know when someone's looking at you. And
Facts.
one way I look at it is, when you're driving in your car or something, and you're just looking down the street and you see someone, that like trips and stumbles, or something like
Yeah.
that. And I always think, you go, you know what? They probably don't know. They're looking around. They go, "Oh, did anyone see?" But they don't know that there's a car probably like 5 lanes over. One person is looking at them and go, "Wow, that was good. They caught themselves." But
Yeah.
that's life, right? You don't know
Exactly.
when someone is actually watching you or going to give you that chance, or maybe saying, "This is it. This is the time." So you've always got to perform, and you've always got to be ready, and do it not for the others. Do it for yourself, because if
Facts.
you prep yourself to the highest level, you can never be disappointed, because you did the most that you could to make
Yeah.
sure that you were prepared for any situation.
No, most definitely. And like for you, obviously, myself growing up, I feel like anyone that's like 40 or younger, who was like the first African American that you looked up? It was Cobi Jones. Cobi Jones. Remember him playing for LA on the national team. He looked like me. Someone I wanted to be a role model. Who was that for you growing up? You mentioned, the likes of having European based coaches, but from a standpoint of like, all right, I want to emulate my game after this person, or I like this player. Who was that for you?
There's no one. That's the crazy thing. I mean, no, there's the generals where you would go like Pele,
Yeah.
Maradona, stuff like that. But I came up in a time where you didn't get to see games.
Yeah.
I know this is mind blowing for people now that are probably listening to this. You don't understand. There is no soccer on TV.
Uh-huh.
When there was a game, you know, I would find out. I mean, first off, my parents, like I said, were from Mobile, Alabama, in the South, so they weren't soccer people. So the way for me to find out that there was a game would be like the coach, like one of those coaches, saying, "Oh, there's a game of." Maybe it was like a Real Madrid or Barcelona, but usually it was like a Mexico against U.S. or Mexico against
Mhm.
someone, and we would meet up at a restaurant where we would we would go into the back room where everyone would have to pay $20, to come in and watch the game off a satellite. There was no games at home.
Yeah.
There was nothing there. So for me, the only way I would hear about soccer would be, especially at the younger ages, was about just the stories you heard of Pele. Like
Yeah.
that was it. And then maybe a little bit later on, you would see some of the games as Maradona came on the scene and everything that was
Yeah.
happening there with the World Cup. But yeah, I didn't. I mean, I get so jealous now. I look at TV and it's like, oh, what station do you want to go to where you want to see something? You got
Yeah.
Liga MX, you got the Premier League. You can have MLS. You have so many choices now of soccer that it blows my mind, and I'm sure it blows everyone else's mind to think that there was nothing. I mean, I went years without being able to see a soccer game.
It's so crazy to think about, like just the evolution of sports and soccer specifically. Like I can go on YouTube right now and watch highlights, and you didn't even have that option
Yeah.
growing up.
I didn't have
Um,
internet, man. That's how far back
yeah.
I go.
No,
I saw the
I'm
birth
not
of
trying
the
to. I'm not
internet.
trying to age you. Yeah. So with that being said, we always have guests, from different locations. A lot of DMV folks have said, "All right, that's the hotbed for talent." You being from SoCal, Cali boy through and through. This is your chance to stake your claim, like SoCal, as like, uh, is that the soccer scene based on you growing up, seeing being part of LA Galaxy, the youth development, seeing what you see on a daily basis.
Yeah. This is the hotbed. You go to Southern
He's like,
California. Come on, there's no question about it. Let's be real. We can play soccer, year round, no concerns, outdoors, the way it's supposed to be played. So we don't have to go indoors when it's winter time. We're not cold, so we can always perform. The way I argue it is that we can always have peak performance year round. There's no
yeah,
no times where we're going to have to bundle up in 5 jackets, and be all cold and get out on the field. So
respect.
so so we're ready to go. We can always train and always play. But Yeah, I do see. I think in the past, look, there's always other places and that people will argue about, talking about like Jersey, and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
for me, it's definitely Southern California where I've seen the talent that has come out over the years, and it's on a consistent basis. And when we talk about players that are playing, even at the highest levels, a lot of people don't know that a lot of the talent, comes from Southern California. And yes, they go through the academy and shift out to somewhere
Yeah.
else, but where they're originally seen is because they were doing well, out here in Southern
And so,
California.
no, most definitely. And then obviously, amazing accomplishment. You're the most capped U.S. men's national team player. Not a lot of people can say they even got one cap, but you have the most. I'm sure you have a lot of stories. I've heard, you're a great storyteller. One of the better storytellers in soccer, U.S. soccer circles. Let me just say that. Do you
Circles,
have
thank you. Yeah.
do you have a favorite memory or a memorable moment that you're willing to share?
Ooh, on the field or off the field? What do you want?
We might do off the field, offline. No, both. Let's get both. What you want first, on the field or off the field?
Let's do on the field first and then off the
Yeah.
field.
Okay. On the field, geez, I got a couple, but I'll stick with myself. Tell just on a story about myself on my first time with the national team, being brought up to the full national team, and we went on a trip to Saudi Arabia. Okay, and I'm one of the young guys that just got pulled up from the Olympic team. So there's like three of us: myself, Mike Lapper, da da da. Man, I don't know if I should tell the story, but it's not bad like that. But we went to Saudi Arabia, and the issue was you're your young player, and Bora Milutinovic is the coach, and he was very, if you know anything about him, he's particular. Like he was the one that would say, no, that's not how you tie your shoes. This is how you have to tie your shoes. So it was like details mattered to him on every little thing. And we go to Saudi Arabia, and we're in this tournament, and we play the first game, and we get absolutely smoked. We get smoked, and it's one of those teams where, yeah, I mean, you guys know how when you're in a different country, but when you're in an area together with the group and you're there for a few days and you lose the first game bad, everyone's going to start talking and just going, oh, whatever, I can't believe they did this. Then when you get around dinner and you're talking in the rooms and all that stuff, it happens, so you're talking, and because you still have another game coming up, and we're all talking, and then there's like the team meeting talk, and me and Mike Lapper, we're just sitting there, and if you ever talk to him, he'll tell you this. We're just sitting there, just going, okay, we'll just let them go. They're all the vets are doing that, and they ask us, so what do you guys think? What do you guys? One of the leaders of the team asks us that. I still remember to this day. It just goes, what do you think of the situation? And we're like, oh, no, tell us. So, okay, we talking and we say what we thought and how we should play and all this stuff, right? And they're like, okay, we have a team meeting later, and it's like one of those to hearts with Bora and the staff, and the vets are kind of bitching about how we're playing and stuff, and you can feel the tension rising between Bora and the staff and the players and all this, and then one of the vets is just like, yeah, everyone thinks so. Cobi and Mike thought the same thing, and they point right at us and call us out. I promise you, our eyes must have went like boom, like saucers, just like and Bora just does a slow turn and looks at us, and we're just like, oh man, this is not good. And he's like, so what? I don't know if you know how Bora talks. He's like, what you think? Tell me. And we're like, no. We're just like, no. You talk before, you talk now. You tell me. And we were under the gun. And I mean, finally, we tried to tone it down what we said a little bit, but Bora was pissed. And then when he responded to all the criticism from the team, who do you think it was focused on? It was focused on the two young guys that we would even deign to say anything. So we were like, I was told by some other guys that like, yeah, we thought you guys were going to be cut, from the national team right
Yeah.
there. That was it. That we'd be being sent home. But what happened after that? We had our next game, and we're all sitting on the bench, and well, us young guys sitting on the bench, and I'm thinking, well, my soccer career is over anyway, so because I was like, okay, this is it, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm off after this. Um, so the game's going, and Chris Henderson's playing at the right wing position, and he goes up for a header, and he gets headbutted, and he goes down. Bora's on the sideline, and he sees this, and he's like, Cobi, Cobi, Cobi. He looks over, and he sees me, and my shoes are untied on the bench. And he looks, and he's like, what? You must be ready. Yeah, go warm up. What are you doing? And just starts berating me. I'm like, oh my God, I'm definitely done when this team starts killing me. So he tells me to go back and warm up. And I'm just like, okay. But then Chris gets back up, and he starts playing. And so it's another 5 minutes that I'm done warming up, 10 minutes on warm up. Then some of the players, like, you can come back, sit down, you're done. He's playing. So I go back and sit down. Literally 2 minutes after, Chris goes up, boom, second headbutt. He's done, like he's out. Bora turns to where I was warming up. I'm not there, and he's
Yo, what's going on?
He looks and sees me on the bench. he's like losing it, and that's why I think people are like, dude, he's done from the national team. But he subs me in, and he's like, you must be ready, just screaming at me. He subs me in, and then fortunately, this is where I say there's God's intervention. In that game, I end up that same thing. I end up getting a goal and an assist in the game, and that probably saved me because I was supposed to do a just like a training in Germany right after, and oh man, I remember going on the bus, with the team as I come out of the locker room, and then as I come out of the locker room, Bora's right there, and he's all, Cobi, you go to my friend, come with me, talk to your coach. Where are you going? Come talk to me. And all of a sudden, it's just like paradise, and he loves me and all this. So that's one of my favorite stories of one of my first caps, with the national team.
That's an amazing story. It's like,
great.
oh, performance equals tolerance sometimes.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
If you score goals and you do what you're supposed to do, especially on the offensive side, score goals, get assists, you tend to get away with a lot,
Yeah, most definitely. Earlier we spoke about, you didn't really have anyone to look up to, on the soccer field just because there wasn't any games on TV. But I'm sure throughout your career, a lot of people, specifically African Americans, will come up to you and say, like, you're an inspiration. You're how you got my son or daughter into the game. I wanted to be like you when I would get older. How did that feel for you? And like, do you carry that with a badge of honor?
To be quite honest, I didn't hear a lot of that until later on in my career. Towards the end, that's when I heard it more so. So for me, yeah, I do carry it with a badge of honor, and I carry it with more respect and understanding of what it means as I got older. It's incredible, to think about that. You have that kind of impact and that effect, especially when I see now, just like how difficult it is, how difficult it was, for Black Americans, to play the sport. A lot of the time, just it's not there. They're in certain communities, they're not playing it, and there's no thought of, okay, this has a future. So. To be one of those people that inspire people to play the game and to actually not just play it for fun, but to say, hey, I can make a career out of this, I think is something special, for me. I hope that, that inspiration is still there. If people can Google it, and Google me, that's what you got to do now. But yeah, I enjoy that honor, and now I try to, take it to another level with other things, and just let people know that this game is for us. It's not something where you got to go, oh, it's just football, basketball, baseball. I always try to say is, people try to claim, and it was in the United States a suburban sport, rather
Hmm.
rather than within the cities. But I try to put it out there. Don't let anyone tell you that that's still the way this game is,
Yeah.
because it never was that when you talk about it worldwide. Look at the top
Yeah.
players. It's about people, that a lot that don't have means that try to find a way out, and soccer was the way out. And you look at the top players, the ones that we always talk about, they come from different backgrounds. If you're talking about a Pele, a Maradona, so it's a sport for everyone. And you look at a lot of the players now, Mbappe, Neymar, a lot of black players, at the top
Yeah.
of the game.
No, you're exactly right. And I mean, you do a lot of work, you know, on the front lines, behind the scenes, to help grow the game, predominantly in the, Black American community. What would you do, like, if you had the magic wand to help expose it to, you know, more Black players? Birmingham, Alabama even has a soccer team now. Obviously, SoCal continues to expand. Um, but what would be your, all right, this is our like 3-step guide to make sure we can grow the game of soccer in the Black community?
What's interesting, as I always hear the stories, and it kind of pairs up, and I'm wondering if it's true, but I'd like to believe it is. Like in the '70s, when you know basketball was kind of starting out in '60s, '70s. I heard that the NBA at the time said, okay, what we're going to do is we are going to make sure that there is a basketball court in every elementary school, and that
Mm-hmm.
will in the future give us a fan base that's going to know the game, that's going to love the game. I heard that was the game plan that they used, and it seems to have worked. So
Yeah.
for me, I mean that is the first step. I don't know if it's possible to do at this point with the way the country is, just as the cost and everything that would be. But if we could get more of the small courts with the understanding that futsal and just outdoor small courts can be avenues for kids to learn about the game. So, especially when we are talking about underserved communities, or we're talking about inner cities, we're talking about anywhere really. Um, Places that don't have a lot of space, can we get small courts in there where people can just play pickup, soccer games? If it's in rural areas, still, can we get small courts? Because sometimes, I mean, how hard is it to get 11v11 to play on full field? So if we can
Hmm.
just get those small areas and people can see it, where there's a place where they can go all the time, I think that's fantastic. I still believe in, yeah, just throw a couple shirts down, all, and on
Yeah.
the court on each side and play the game. That's how I grew up, and playing in a cul-de-sac. But not all the time is that the best way to do it now. I think you need some type of inspiration, and if they can see the court and go, oh wow, this is cool. Look at me playing on this, and you're playing, and it just generates something within the communities. I think that's a better way to generate a community response, where everyone has a central area to go and see others and inspire others, and then all of a sudden, while you're playing, you push each other. As
Facts.
athletes, we push each other, trying different tricks and trying different things. One of the things I hear about Pulisic is like his dad had him play not just on the the perfect teams where it's the perfect grass all the time. It's like, hey, go out and play in the streets where you learned and will try different things with your friends that you may not try when you have a coach yelling you, pass the ball, with all
Yeah.
that stuff. So
No, most definitely. And then for the people that want to go pro, what advice do you have for them? Obviously, your journey was different than others, especially now where you got ECNL, MLS Next, ODP, AYSL, all these different avenues. But at the end of the day, um, there is a way to go pro. So, what advice would you have for someone that?
yeah, I'm a believer that there's many ways,
Mhm.
to success, and not everyone's going to go the one route. And the reason I say that is because what it really comes down to is the opportunity that's in front of you and the coaches that you're going to be dealing with. And
Yeah.
as we all know, there and this happens at 5 years old all the way to you're 30. There's a coach that could love you, and when he's gone, there's another coach in that thinks you're the worst player ever. So you have to make sure that you find the right avenue for yourself, and don't think that if something gets blocked off or doesn't work out in this one area, that's it. You can't believe that, because if you do that, then you're going to have trouble. I've had it. Many people have had that where a coach says, nah, he's not good. You've got to go around the other way. So for me, it's for the athlete and the parent to find out what's the best avenue, for them, the best club, the best coach that believes in you. That's very important. Having a coach that believes in you, because they can be a facilitator, and that's important too. To have someone that will facilitate on your behalf, and what I mean by that, that's having, that person that will be in the room speaking up for you, because, we all know we have enough people that speak against us. So let's have somebody that's actually in there that's going to be on your side. That helps, that gets your name out there, that gets you in front of the right people.
Oh, most definitely. Elle, what you got in terms of, I know you had some questions that you wanted to touch on.
Yeah, no, that's some great advice for sure. So we talked about, you coming through the national team. We didn't really get to touch on your Galaxy days. So tell us a little bit about that. Like, what are some of your favorite moments as a Galaxy player?
Woo. Favorite moments as a Galaxy player, that first game, we worked hard that first season, beforehand, just training anywhere and everywhere, training out front of the Rose Bowl, being kicked off those fields, having to find a college or a university where you could go train that was nearby. We trained on high school fields, anything and everything. But when it all culminated in that first game where we thought there was going to be like 30,000, well, that was the end. At the end of it, first they told us that we'd have to get like 10,000 people, and then slowly in the week they kept saying, oh yeah, 15, 20, yeah, we'll probably have about 20,000, but we're going to put some, bring the coverage down so it won't look so bad in the Rose Bowl. Trust me, it'll still look bad if you have the Rose Bowl with 80, 90,000. There's only 15, 20 there. But we did that thing where we would meet up early in Pasadena at the hotel, have lunch, then take like a nap after lunch, or do our meetings. We could rest in the rooms, take a nap, and then hop in the bus and come down to the Rose Bowl. And I can still remember to this day just coming around the corner and then coming down the street and seeing the Rose Bowl with the parking's always out front. And that thing was full. That was like a UCLA, football game where I was looking over that and just looking at the guys and just going, this is going to be more than the 15 to 20,000. It was insane as we were trying to pull up. And mind you, we get there like about 2 hours before the game. It's packed. And the bus had to slow down as we're driving up, as people are coming up and banging on the window and just like cheering us on and everything. It was absolute insanity, before the game. And in that game, of course, for me, I scored the first goal, so that was something that will stay with me forever, scoring that first goal in LA Galaxy history. And then when we ended up winning this game, you get lost in the crowds, right? But we won this game, and at the end of it, it felt like, I don't know if any of you have seen that movie Victory, right? Have you all seen that? So it was like the end of Victory, where the people had already torn down all the tarps so that they could come down. And then they were just like rushing on the field. It was crazy, where they were just cheering us on. And we had 67,000 pretty much that were there at the match. And we were told afterwards, mind you, think about that. We're going from like 10, 15, maybe 20,000 to 67,000 people. And then after the game, we were told by many people that when that final whistle blew, there was still a line of traffic with people on the freeway trying to get into the stadium. That's how the insanity of it, where people didn't realize the taste and the want for soccer in Southern California. So that was a moment, with the Galaxy that will live with me forever.
No, I love that. Quick question. Obviously, Seattle yesterday they won CONCACAF. There's been
Mm-hmm.
talks about, well, LA, you guys won CONCACAF when it was
Mm-hmm.
a specific tournament. Are you
Mhm.
giving credit to Seattle being the first, or is LA taking that title?
Well, it would be look,
DC and
okay,
LA.
yeah, DC and LA. But here's the thing. Here's the thing, and I know people in MLS will be upset with me or whatever, but no, they don't get the first title. It's like we've done it before. You don't take away history. You know
Yeah,
that's shameful. I mean, DC did it, Galaxy did it, and now Seattle has done it. Just because the name of the tournament and it has changed and maybe a little bit of the, the format has changed, doesn't mean that it's a completely new thing. I mean, we had the
yeah,
Concacaf Cup. You know, they have CONCACAF Champions League. Because here's the issue: what would all those people do? You know, or actually not what they would do. Have those people that say Seattle's first. I want to ask them. So does that mean that Real Madrid doesn't have all those titles when it was something before? You know, because
yeah,
Champions League didn't start until like I think it was '92. So all those championships before, when they say they have 13 titles, are
yeah,
they going to go away? No. Real Madrid would they would hang them high, you know.
yeah.
So I'm along the same lines. You don't take it away, and I will always have this stance, you know, no matter what anyone says. So for me, you know, they're third. They're third on the list,
Yeah,
but that's a great accomplishment. Don't get me wrong. Them doing it
yeah.
under the new banner, the new title of CONCACAF Champions League, I think is fantastic, and they had a amazing crowd, you know, out there, which was great. You know, actually,
Okay,
I think there's some of the Liga MX teams actually claim the old titles too. Why don't we?
that's true. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hey, I love that. I love that. Stake your claim.
yeah,
Um,
for sure. So you've made your transition from the pitch to the commentator's booth. Um, so how did you get into that? How did you break into commentating? Was that something you always been interested in doing, or did you kind of fall into it? Like, walk us through that.
I kind of fell into it, to be quite honest. It was towards the end of my career, and I had finished up. Uh, well, not finished up, but I was asked to come in where they kind of like have guest hosts to come in and just talk about what the team's doing. And it was I started off with like the Olympic stuff, just kind of talking about it. Then some different national team games when I was done with the national team, and so I just kept coming in, and they kept calling me back, and you know I just found that I had the gift to gab, as they say, you know, when it comes down to the game. And what I like about it too, the best games that I call are always the ones, as you said, we're just having a conversation. It's like you're having a talk in the bar, and someone asks you, oh, so what do you think of the game? That's the way I try to think of it, and just giving a little bit of detail of, oh, this is what they're trying to do, this is where they're trying to go, and these are the important players and people to watch out for. That's what it's all about. So I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the experience of it. And once I retired, I I liked it even more because it allows me to stay in tune and in touch with the game. So I know what the different players are doing more so than just reading the paper. I have a little bit more in-depth knowledge and idea of what's happening within the game.
love it.
So do you have any like we love to hear your story. So do you have any like favorite moments or any cool stories from your time in the commentator's booth?
Let's see. Within the commentators booth, pardon me. There's a lot of stories. Um, I think it comes down to I always put it this way: people see just a bit of what's going on. You see the TV and you hear
Yeah,
the commentators, but you never see the stuff that's happening, behind the scenes, like when mics go out or cameras go out. I've had that in situations where I'll be calling a game, and all of a sudden, boom, the screen that you're maybe looking at, if you're not there, if you have to call it off monitor and the screen goes dark, and you're just like, you know, and then all of a sudden the producer will get in your ear, okay, da da da, has the ball, and you kind of have to translate until they can work it out. Some of the better and more interesting ones that I've had have been with CONCACAF Champions League, when we would be calling from a monitor and the games are in a different country, because a lot of the
Mm.
times the stadiums, be it a cricket stadium or something along those lines, aren't set up for soccer. And I can remember, and this is maybe a more specific moment, I can remember there was a game where whenever the ball came to the near side, you couldn't see anything. So there's about 5 yards because of the camera. It didn't show the 5 yards from the sideline into the field. So there would be times where the ball would go on and you had no clue what was going on, and you're just kind of guessing on what's happening out there. It's what you deal with.
Yeah, for sure. Like people don't realize how difficult it can be. Like they just see what's on the camera, what's on the screen, but like there's a lot of chaos that goes on behind the scenes, especially in like a production environment. So definitely admire you for that. Admire you for being able to think on the fly and move on the fly. We talked about it a little earlier about how you've kind of influenced younger generations when it comes to playing soccer. And also, being an advocate for the growth of the game in the Black community. You're a board member for the Black Star Initiative. Tell us how you kind of got involved with that program, and what some of your goals are for working with them.
Yeah, I was asked to be a part of the Black Star Initiative, a couple of years ago, as there was this push and move to kind of grow the game within the Black community in various communities, but specifically for Black Star within the Black community. And I had worked with some of the people before where they had brought me in on the Latino side of things to kind of help build the game there. And so without a doubt, I was going to jump all over. It was like one of those things where I was like, oh, finally, it's like someone's someone's taking the initiative here that has the ways and the means to do something about it. So I was excited to be a part of it, to be on the board, this advisory board, and to help grow the game. As far as the goals, it's kind of like what we talked about before. It's making sure that the kids and the families within the communities are aware of what's available to them. That there are opportunities out there, that this game is for us. It's a sport that at this point is dominated, by us. The other thing that I wanted to do, I wanted to make sure that from our side, that we could get into the communities, that we could do the right things and give those opportunities, and put people in situations where they could see the kids. That's important, because we can't just say, oh yeah, we're here, the kids will find us. That's not going to work. There has to be an active measure, on our part to go out, get those coaches, say, hey, come look at what we're doing. Come out here, see these kids, and it never goes as fast as we want, but at least we're starting it up. So if we have these different camps, around the country, and that we're doing, and these kids are put in front where there's college coaches, those are some of the first steps, right? Where if we can get 5-6 kids placed, within colleges that are being actively recruited, then all of a sudden, it just gives us more of a presence, at every level of the game. So that's my goal. That's what I'd love to do, is we work in these different cities, and we're in LA, Detroit, Washington, DC. Those are some that we're looking to do.
Yeah, for sure. And you were on our guy Yogi's Elliot Barr show, Can I Kick It? He's a part of the 2Cents FC family. So definitely appreciate you doing that for us as part of the Detroit initiative. And so speaking of, growing the game, ownership is a big tenet of that as well. Like we can't necessarily influence the game if we're not in positions of ownership. And you are an investor in Angel City FC. So can you tell me what drew you to that opportunity?
This one came about in a very interesting way, where I was approached at the beginning to give advice on the soccer side, and who to talk to, about soccer. I know that sounds silly, but it was a group that wanted to just learn more about the game, and how it works. Who are the people that you had to get in touch with? And so I had some conversations with Julie Ehrman, and it kind of gave her some of the knowledge that I had and the impact. And as they were, and then I didn't hear from her for a while, but then I started hearing kind of whispers that it was going to happen. So I got back in touch with her to say, hey, if this is going to happen, keep me in mind. I would love to be a part of it. And she stepped up and said, yes, of course, and wanted me to be a part of it and gave me the opportunity to be a part of Angel City. So I jumped all over that. I thought that, like you said, this was another avenue to grow the game, to help the women's side of the game. And I without a doubt was going to help there. I'm a big believer that it's not a zero sum game. I don't think if one group gets more, then that group's going to get less. I think we're about growing the pot and everybody gets more. So I think it's fantastic that the women's game is starting to grow and just getting more attention. I think Angel City's done a fantastic job, and to be honest, I'm happy to be a part of it.
Yeah, for sure. And we're seeing a lot of Black investment, if you will, in the game of soccer. We have a lot of NBA players who have dipped their hat in the ring. With James Harden with the Houston Dash and Comets. I mean, not Comets. Dash and Dynamo. Yeah, we got Kevin Durant with Philly, as well as his recent investment in Gotham. You also have D Wade and his family in Angel City, as well as RSL. How important is this for us to be invested in this game in the U.S. landscape?
Very important. I think it's probably one of the most important things that we can do for the Black community is to have investment, because that not only that gets you there for the long term. You're not just getting a paycheck, making some money, and then okay, once that career is done, that's it. You're out. No, this is stuff that you can hold on to. This is stuff that you can pass down. As we talk about generational wealth, this is important. As the clubs grow and get bigger, your piece of the pie is growing. What you can pass down to your children is growing. This is what we want to do. We want to be decision makers. We want to be in those boardrooms. This is it. I'd love to get a Black ownership group, to get a team. I mean, we have this, in various ways where we have, a majority women's group within certain things, why not on the other side? Why not within the Black community? I think this would be fantastic. These are ways to look after our own, to keep stepping forward and help build the game, right? This helps build the game.
100%. So do you have any aspirations to invest more? I know you just mentioned, you would love to see, a Black-led investment group in soccer. Do you have any other aspirations for investment, whether it be other teams or, additional areas of the game that you would like to see grow more?
Outside of that major one,
yeah,
I think no, I would love to continue to look at all options, out there within the women's game and the men's game, to see where the availabilities are, as we see that there's so much more to the game than just the playing side. We're starting to see just a huge cultural shift where there's just much more attention on soccer culture, soccer lifestyle, be it clothing, music, everything's, as we saw with basketball, everything's starting to get intertwined. We're starting to see that with soccer here in the U.S., where everything's starting to get intertwined, and we're at the beginning stages of it. So yeah, if there's, I'm always open. I'm always looking to invest in a variety of different things. To be quite honest, I look at a couple of things every week, where it's like, oh, shouldn't I? And I have to get advice, from my business partner and just kind of figure it out. But that's what I'd love to do, because like I said, I'd like to see the game grow. I'd like to see others go. If we could, why not with former players? That would be great too. Especially the ones from, I would say, 15, 20 years ago, where you're not dealing with the levels that they're dealing with now. I mean, I always dream, say, hey man, can I come on? Can I sign a DP contract for 1 year right now?
Right.
Live the dream, right? You know.
If they only knew,
For
if they
sure.
only knew the pathways you guys led for us and the future generations.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, if you're ever looking to invest in a black-owned soccer media brand, keep us in mind.
There we go. You guys send me the
All
info,
right.
man.
Yeah, we'll do. We'll do. So let's jump into some rapid fire questions. Let's get into some fun stuff. So what's one interesting fact about yourself that most people wouldn't know?
Ooh, that I'm a big video gamer. That I grew up on video games,
yeah.
and I used to have a room in my house dedicated just to video games with captain chairs where I could lean back and some cozies in there where I could put my drinks. Four captain's chairs where me and my boys would play. Halo nonstop.
Dope. So do you still play, or run out of time?
I do rarely. It has shifted to where I'm playing more of my kids' games, now with them because they want me to play with them. So I can't play those first person shooters just yet.
Okay.
Not allowed. Not allowed.
No.
All right. So back when you were playing, I don't know if they had like playlists and stuff back then, but what would be on your what's on your pre-match playlist?
Oh, we get some Biggie, we get some Tupac. Geez, what else would we have? I'm Dre, all that. I was rapping hip hop, that's what I liked, and I had a few players on the team that didn't like it, so I had to fight to get my time, But yeah, that's where I was. That was. I still think to this day, I'll listen to out here in LA just a little K-Day, so you can get some of the old school jams out there and listen to it.
Nice.
Yeah. Dope. All right, so I know you're a busy man, but what are some of your favorite off-work activities?
Ooh, off work. To be quite honest, it's watching my kids play. Sports. My oldest is into basketball. My youngest is into soccer, so like watching them a little bit. I do like the coaching, like in track. Like I'm actually helping my school out, being like the track coach, stuff like that. Outside of that, like I said, a little bit of the video games, and then it would be like going on jog walks, with my dog. I got a boxer, so he's pretty active. So getting him out in the streets is one of the things that I love to do, just to get some sunshine, because you can get caught up being inside all day.
So. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I have a boxer as well, Brindle.
Oh, all right. There we go.
Yeah.
What's the name? What's the name?
Scout.
Scout.
But she's a girl.
Oh, yeah. She. Okay. Mine's a boy. Name's Gunner.
Nice. All right. So, you've played a long career. You've also played, various international games as well. What's your favorite away city?
Ooh, favorite away city where I played. Mine was, I had a couple, but I loved playing in Tokyo. That was one of the best trips that I had. That was fantastic. Just totally different experience, all the way around, but still just exciting, just different culturally, different on the field and off the field. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. All right. And so we ask this to all of our former players on the show, especially when you're repping your area or your section. So who's on your LA five-a-side? We won't give you all of SoCal. We'll just give you LA.
Just in LA for whoever's been here?
Yeah.
Okay. Myself, of course.
Gotta do it like that. Yeah.
I would take Landon, Robbie Keane, Carlos Ruiz. We're talking about former players, right? Or what?
Oh, you're going Galaxy
LA.
roster, or are we doing people from LA? We
people
can do both.
From LA.
Well, like I said, I don't know all the people from LA, but I was going off of like some Galaxy.
Okay, let's do your Galaxy five-a-side.
Let's do Galaxy five-a-side versus
all
your
time
LA born five-a-side team.
Oh, you're gonna have to tell me who's LA born. I'd say, like I said, myself, Carlos Ruiz. I would have probably Landon in there, Robbie Keane, and then maybe we need a defender. We're just going. Everyone's gonna be up front watching everybody run by us. So it's like, we need a defender in there. Can maybe like a Kevin Hartman just in goal, so someone can stop the shots. But I would put like a Robin Fraser as a defender, but I don't know if we have a goaltender or not. There you
go. I like that.
No Beckham on that team?
Well, that's that. I was gonna say Beckham, but then it's like, oh wait, we need defense.
Hey, you don't need defense. All vibes.
Okay. There we go.
All possession.
There we go. Then I'd probably put a Beckham. I'd probably put a Beckham like that if we can keep possession all the time. But if we lose it, we're in trouble.
That's true.
All right. So let's jump into one of our favorite segments of the show, trending topics. This is a rapid fire segment where I'll read out some news headlines, and our guests, Cobi as well as Amobi, will give their opinions on these headlines using the soccer card system. So if they're in agreement, if they agree with it, it's no card. If they're indifferent about it, then it's yellow card. And if they disagree, it's red card. And they'll give a short explanation of why they gave that card. So we have two topics for this week. First up, Katie and Rich Kleiman bought a minority stake in Gotham FC. So what card are we giving this investment deal?
Cobi, you want to go ahead?
You want to go first?
I'll
go first. Yeah. So go ahead, Cobi. You had it.
I was going yellow. I was going indifferent. It's just kind of
Yeah. The only reason why I give it yellow is like, all right, you're already invested in Philadelphia Union, so why not expand and build out a women's team in Philly? So that's the only reason why I'm giving it yellow. Any investment in women's soccer is great. Gotham, they have a great product, do some great marketing, good players, but it would be a great opportunity to expand the NWSL if you start where you already invested in and like expand Philly women's program there. I think that would do really well, but that's above my pay grade. I'm not involved, but I'm not gonna tell someone what to do with their money, but that would have been cool to see.
Okay. All right, and the next one is CF Montreal is changing their crest again, 1 year after the rebrand due to fan displeasure. They put out a statement yesterday saying, we've heard your voice, and we will be, exploring new options when it comes to the crest. I don't know if they're changing the name again, but they're exploring new options when it comes to the crest. So, what card are we giving Montreal for this move?
No card. You got to listen to the fans. Players go, owners go, coaches go, but the fans will always remain. And I think if the logo doesn't speak to the culture and the community of the club, as the fans say, you got to hear it. Obviously, you don't want to do it every time they complain. You can't, change everything. But it seems like this logo didn't go well. So, yeah, I definitely think they're doing a good job of trying to get in the good graces.
I'm going with the red card on this one. I'm not a fan of this. It's just, it's kind of what Amobi said towards the end, is you can't continuously change, because you're not going to please everybody. You're never going to please all the people all of the time. And if you keep changing, guess what? The new one's going to come out. There's going to be some people that are going to be like, I don't like this one. And they're going to be sending the tweets, and they're going to bombard and say, we got to change it. You've got to stick with something so that there can be a connection to it. That's where I think the issue is you have to stay for a while. There will be people that will hate it, but there will be people that will love it. The funny thing is, in this day and age, you tend to hear more from the haters than from the people that love it. So, right. I think you've got to take a stand and say, hey, this is what we are. This is our club. This is the organization. We'd love for you to be a part of it. And remember, this is the logo that represents us, but we are more than this logo. So, hey, jump on board and be a part.
All right. Well, that's it for no card, yellow card, red card this week. Moby, what you got?
Nah, thank you so much, Cobi, for taking the time. Obviously, we've been connected, obviously, through the MLS alumni, but the McKinsey group as well. So that was pretty fun. But if people want to connect with you, how can they do so?
Instagram, Twitter, those are probably the best ways. They can hit me up, Cobi Jones 13. So they can at me there. I got to be honest, I'm not going to be able to answer everybody. Okay. but I do try to every once in a while. I'll get on there and just, go through like, 20, 30 minutes of just boom, 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 getting stuff out because I'm old school. I can't be on my phone, all the time. So I do like to, like I said, get outside and enjoy the real world.
Nah, most definitely, most definitely. One last question before we close out. Obviously, you were part of the '94. Oh wait, yeah, 94.
Yep, that far back. Yep.
Yeah, no, cause I was like 96. It was back to back. 94 World Cup, 2026. The World Cup's coming back to the States. What are you most excited about? That like almost like full circle.
I'm excited to see the turnout from the U.S. and see as we have a more knowledgeable and in tune fan base how they take this, how they support it. I think it's going to be absolutely amazing because along with that, I think because there's going to be so much support, how the U.S. does events, there's no other like it in the world. So I can only imagine what this is going to be like, and I'm trying to figure out how I can hop from city to city, and see be in every city.
We're doing a 2Cents FC tour. Match day. We're following the squad. I think it's going to be amazing. I will be partying. I will be following. I'll be supporting. But for you, as being part of that World Cup that was here in '94, and then to see it, I can only imagine, how it feels for you.
Yeah, it's surreal to think that, wow, the World Cup is here, and then see that everything that we did then and have done over the years has allowed us to build this sport up in the United States, where we were honored to be able to host again. It's incredible.
They definitely got to do like a walkout for your squad, first game when that happens. So I don't know who you got to talk to, Cobi, but make sure that definitely happens.
I it's funny. It's got to come from all of you out there to try to find a way to gear that up and rev it up and say, hey, we've got to make sure that we have a look at these guys. Where are they now? Type thing.
Yeah, most definitely.
Say less.
Say less. Yeah, I know. Else he's kicking. He's gonna do some idea offline. But that's our show for this week. Subscribe, rate, and review. It helps us get discovered. Follow us on the socials at 2Cents FC Show. Check out our merch at 2centsports.shop. It helps support the show as well. And tweet us your comments on the show, any topics you want me or El to discuss. Once again, thanks to Cobi for giving us some valuable insight on his story, his experiences, and thank you so much for your time. Without further ado, catch you guys later.
Till next week. Peace out.
Yeah.